Hi, welcome to ThreatTraq Essentials. I'm here this week with Matt Kaiser. How you doing, Matt?
Doing great. How about you?
Great. Let's talk about some of the lessons we can learn from this week's ThreatTraq stories. You were out at Black Hat and DEF CON, and you talked to us about some talks that you recommend people go online and watch. Tell us about those.
Oh, sure. So I picked a handful of some of my favorites. Some of them are sort of high-level talks. Matt Tate's keynote at Black Hat was, I think, particularly insightful. Not super technical, but very interesting, and had a lot of good, interesting takes on supply chain security in particular. There were a couple technical ones. Orange Sci had one about the proxy logon vulnerability that's in Microsoft Exchange and several other related bugs. So if you want to get real deep in the weeds with some technical stuff, that one I would recommend. Vivek Nair had a talk on hacking the like attendance devices. I don't remember exactly which brand he talked about, but if you were a student in the last decade and a half, you probably had a little device to bring with you to your college classes to answer questions, and he found a way to spoof one of those in order to attend two courses at the same time. There were some interesting talks on ATM hacking. There was one.
I thought we were endorsing that.
Oh no, of course. No, I feel like we should absolutely state up front that, these talks are they're for educational purposes. No one is advocating the commission of crimes here. But if you want to understand the inner workings of a security system, I mean, Black Hat and DEF CON are some of the best places to learn this sort of material. And hopefully you can take back those lessons and secure your own technology at home.
Yeah, so stay in class, kids. That's the advice here. Let's talk about John Markley wrote a story about an update to Chrome, which is interesting because it deals with the lock that appears in the browser. And that's something we, on this show for years, have been telling people to look for when they go to a site. Tell me about it.
Absolutely. So in an upcoming version of Chrome, they're going to make the decision to hide the lock icon for sites that have TLS encryption, and instead focus on showing the not secure icon for sites that don't have TLS encryption. It's a little bit of a nuanced decision, I think. Their take on it is that most websites these days are using TLS, so it would be more effective to show cases where it's not present, and I'll use that as an alert to a problem rather than show it in the default state. And we had a discussion about it on the show. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I realize that people who have been taught for years and years to look for that little icon will probably miss it and may have a whole bunch of questions, and tech supports and sons and daughters who have been on official tech support will probably get lots of questions about it. But it may be, after an initial teething period, may be a better choice.
And Jim Clausing told us about, well, one of the vulnerabilities that was addressed in the talk that you mentioned that's being seen exploited in the wild now.
Yes, that's correct. So Orange Sci's talk on the proxy logon, proxy shell. There's another one, unfortunately, I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head. Basically, a handful of attacks against Microsoft Exchange servers were released at Black Hat in a talk. These were also used a couple months back at Pwn to Own. So these bugs have sort of been in the public knowledge for a while. They have been patched since several months ago. But over the weekend, and just after the talk was released at Black Hat, we started seeing attacks online of exploitation of this bug, and several prominent people who are in the security community and operate Exchange honeypots are confirming that yes, this is the attack. So it does not take long for the public details of an attack to be translated into active attacks on the internet.
And what's the advice on how to protect yourself from that attack?
I mean, if you are an administrator, this was a patch that came out several months ago and was probably marked critical. I would say if you haven't already patched, and you probably have, but if you haven't, now is absolutely the time to patch.
So that's our advice for this week, kids. Stay in school and install those patches. So good advice as always. Thank you, Matt. And thank you all for watching. If you want to keep up with great advice like this every week, like and subscribe below. And if you want to take a deeper look at any of these stories, click on them and play them in their entirety. We'll see you next time.